Hey guys, it's Bart here from Support Launchpad, and in this video, I'm going to explain what Zenflow is and how to use it. Let's start off by looking at a demo in Zendesk. In Zendesk, I'm going to open up this ticket, and on the right-hand side, you can see that there is a Zenflow assistant where you can take a text input. It's got 4 buttons, which are customizable. I can show or hide buttons, and I can change the text inside the button. And I have a text box output here, and I also have some buttons over here in the text editor where I can also write a text and then click one of these buttons and complete different actions. So to demo this, let's click summarize, and this is going to take my entire ticket, all the public comments, and summarize an output. Tell me what's happened so far, give me some questions that I might need to answer as an agent, and give me some other action items I should take. When I press this button, I get this tag added to the ticket, which is Zenflow_ticket_sidebar. So if you want to report on the use of this button, you can do so by using this tag. Let's demo something in the text editor. I'm going to generate a response for Chiprezi. Hey Chiprezi, can you turn it on and off and see what happens? Thanks, Bart. So my reply is pretty bad. Everything's in lowercase. There's no full stops, nothing like that. But I'm going to use the autocorrect button. Our output is our original response. And then we have an AI corrected response, which will look at the last message from the customer, use that to build some kind of empathy or connection, and then sharpen up our response. You can see correct capitals are used. The same formatting is maintained. Let's speak about how Zenflow works. As we just seen, Zenflow lives in the ticket sidebar and a ticket editor. We got up to 4 buttons in a sidebar and 4 in a ticket editor, so 8 in total. We can show or hide whatever we like, and we can change the names of everything. Each button can be plugged into a separate Voiceflow agent. So when you press a button, we send a payload from Zendesk across the Voiceflow. We then build out whatever function we want. And then the processed response is sent back to Zendesk. And we saw before the summary was sent into this text box, and then our auto-corrected response was sent back into the text editor. Now let's speak about what information is sent to Voiceflow. The initial payload that's sent to Voiceflow is the text input in either the sidebar or the text editor. So if you're pressing something from the sidebar, it's the sidebar text. If you press a button from the text editor, it's the text editor text. And when this is sent, if it's empty and you don't put any text into here, it's just sent as a 0. To use this in your Voiceflow build, you just have to make sure that your first block is a capture block, and you can save this to whatever variable you want, and the default variable is last utterance. We also send these 4 as variables. So the ticket ID is the ID of the ticket subject is the subject of the ticket, and you have last customer comment, and then all public comments is every single public comment. To access these in Voiceflow, you just have to add ticket ID, ticket subject, last customer comment, and all public comments as variables into your build. Then you can access them like you would any other variable. Let's take a look at how you set up Zenflow in Zendesk. Back in Zendesk, let's click on Admin Center, search apps, click on Zendesk Support app, find Zenflow in your installed apps, click Change Settings. This is where you would add the version ID and dialog API key for each Voiceflow assistant. So you can have up to 8, so we had 8 buttons. And this is also where you change the name on the button that you want to display, and if you want to show or hide that button. Everything is labeled, so you have version ID for button 1, dialog API for button 1, name for button 1, and display for button 1. And the exact same thing is repeated for button 2, button 3, button 4, and you just scroll down and you fill everything out. One thing to note is that this is going to be empty even after you add your version ID and dialog API, and then you click update. It remains empty because this is a secure setting. Even though it's blank, there actually is a value saved there. So I'm going to change this to button 1. Then I'm going to hide the translate button. So I'm going to uncheck this box. Scrolling down, we can see button 3, button 4. So the first 4 buttons are the ticket sidebar, which are these buttons here. And then the settings for button 5, 6, 7, and 8 are the settings for these buttons in the ticket editor. So scrolling down, I'm going to change button 7 to button 7, and then I'm going to hide request context. Let's click update. I'm going to hit refresh, and we're going to see only 3 buttons here and 3 buttons here, and then the button text will change in some of these buttons. Looking at the ticket sidebar, we changed the name of summarize to button 1, and then we hid one of the buttons, and then our changes are also reflected over in the ticket editor, where we changed one of the names to button 7, and then we hid one of the buttons. Let's demo how to build something out in Voiceflow. The first block I'm going to use is a capture block. I'm going to leave this as last utterance, and this will capture that free text input from the ticket sidebar or the ticket editor, depending on whichever button I use. Next, I need to add all these as variables in my project. So let's add them in now. Go to variables, new variable. First one is ticket ID. create. Next is ticket subject, create all public comments, create last customer comment, create variable. Back in our workflow, I'm just going to return all the variables so we can see how they look. So this is the response I'm going to send back to Zendesk. It's going to be whatever I put in as that free text input, the ticket ID, ticket subject, all public comments, and last customer comment. So this is all the information we send to Voiceflow. Now that this is built out, make sure that you give it a run. If you don't give it a run, it doesn't initialize the agent, so then your buttons in Zendesk won't work. Let's type something random. Okay, that's good. Now let's publish it. Back in Zendesk, let's refresh and let's give button 1 a go. First, let's put in sample text, click button 1, and as expected, we had sample text returned back to us. Ticket ID 61, ticket ID 61. We had our ticket subject, which is over here. Then we had all public comments starting with the end user, then agent, then the end user. So that is this comment here, this one, and this one, excluding the internal note. And finally, we had, dear Bart, thank you for the prompt response, which is the last public comment from the customer. A note on variables: if you don't want to access any of these in your build, then you don't have to include them as variables. You can just leave them out. Thanks for watching the demo on Zenflow. If you have any questions, please comment them below. And if you're interested in getting any templates, also comment that down, but I'll be linking some templates in the video description. All right, see ya.